Hello YouTubers, it's James and I'm back with a project today. It's going to be an outdoor project that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Stay tuned. So today we're going to start turning this pile of wood and this pile of metal roofing, galvanized metal roofing, into a raised bed planter garden that will be protected from deer and all the other critters that can come and eat your vegetables. Oh, and there's another pile of wood as well. These are the 8-footers. But we're planning on building this raised bed garden on top of this bed of wood chips. We're going to compact them a little bit and build right on top of them. And let me show you the inspiration for this project and my plans for how we're going to proceed. So there is a fellow on YouTube named James King, and I've mentioned him before in several of my other videos. And when he built this planter garden that you see right here, that kind of inspired me to build my own. But I didn't want to make mine out of lumber, especially non-treated lumber. I mean, when I'm 95 years old, I didn't want my garden to be decomposed, so I started looking around for alternative methods and found this. So I will be making my raised beds similar in fashion to James's garden, but using galvanized metal sides and pressure-treated wood. Pressure-treated wood has had a bad rap. Back in the day, it used to leach chemicals out into the soil, but every study I've seen so far says today's pressure-treated wood is just fine for growing plants and vegetables. So by now in my career, I should have been an expert in Google SketchUp, but actually I've never used it. Being mostly a CNC woodworking shop, I use VCarve for almost everything, so I thought, why not use VCarve to design my garden? And so I did. I wanted the garden to be about 40 to 42 feet wide and about 12 feet deep with 2 gates, with the gates big enough and the aisles big enough to drive my DR power wagon into it in case I needed to bring stuff in or bring stuff out. So in VCarve, I set the units to about 500 and something wide and about 200 and something tall. And then I could use actual measurements like 2x4s and 2x6s and whatnot to actually plan out the garden this way. But then I thought, wow, I can also use VCarve to design the actual boxes, the pieces of wood I need, the number of screws, the size of the metal. I can design each individual piece in VCarve. So that's what I did here. And then that helped me make up the material list of what I needed and made the ordering of everything I needed to complete the project very simple. So the plan here is to take some 12-foot 2x4s, lay them on the ground, lay a sheet of roofing on top of them, and then cut them in half down the middle lengthwise. And I'll tell you how we're going to do that. So I have watched other YouTube videos where they make metal-sided raised bed planter boxes, and when they cut the metal, there's various ways that they've been cutting it. I've seen people use angle grinders, which sends sparks flying everywhere. I've seen people using just regular tin snips, but that takes forever. And since I'm going to be cutting 10 panels that are 12 feet long in half, I looked for a better solution, and by God, I found one. So I've been a big fan of DeWalt tools for a long time, and when I found this DeWalt attachment for the drill that will shear 18 gauge metal for only $42, I just went and bought it. And we're going to try it out on my roofing next and just see how the whole process goes. But what a fantastic find if this works. See, it works just like that. So as I showed you earlier, this is the layout, the footprint of the planter garden, and we're going to start by doing these outside frames, and then we'll do the inside frame and we'll connect them and do this first box. Now, when I blew up my material list, this is what it says, how we're going to do it, but I'm making one change. Instead of doing 2x4s on the ends, I'm going to be using 2x6s, and it'll be apparent later why I changed my mind. So my driveway being fairly flat, I'm going to lay out all the pieces, and I'm going to cut the small 2x4s and 2x6s that hold everything together, and then we're going to be using pocket screws, 2.5-inch outdoor pocket screws like this to hold everything together. So let's get started. So I'm going to be cutting 11-inch pieces to go in between the top and bottom pieces, and so I set a stop block to make all the pieces the same, plus I put a piece of blue tape there, so when I change the size I'm cutting, I can always come back to this exact size when I'm cutting more small pieces. So let's get started. Now we're going to put the holes for the pocket screws into each end of these boards. So now we need to measure where we want these supports to be. I want one in the middle, I want one 3 feet in from each side, and I want the 2x6s on the ends. So we're going to mark those now. So now all we have to do is install the pocket screws, and everything should come out square. So I think I forgot to mention, pressure treated wood doesn't really have a pretty and ugly side, but some of the sides can look pretty rough. So make sure when you assemble that you have the good side down, because now we're flipping it over and we're going to attach these uprights that are going to hold our cattle panel, which will keep the deer out. And what I intend to do is, I'll show you over here. I'm going to space this 4x4 1.5 inches from the end so that the new side can come in and attach to this. So I'm going to put one screw at the bottom, and then I made this right triangle, and I checked it with my framing square. It's 3 feet by 4 feet by 5 feet, and I'm going to put that next to my 4x4 after we stand it up, and we'll put the rest of the screws in, and theoretically everything will be plumb. So we'll see. So I'm using my DR Power Wagon to help hold things vertical. But when I tried to lift it up, I almost lost this one. I had to put 2 screws in each side just to get it to tip up. And when I check it with the right triangle that I made, guess what? I nailed it the first time. So I'm going to check these other 2. And if everything is square, and when everything is square and plumb, I'm going to put the top rail on and then put the metal on the bottom. Stay tuned. So I have cut the panels in half, the corrugated roofing in half, well, not quite in half, and installed it onto the frame using these 1-inch screws. And I was a little worried that I'd have to drill a hole first, but they opened up their own hole and zip went right in. So on to the next step. So I installed the top rail mitered to fit the rails that are coming straight out from there. And I've created the side panels for the sides of the box. I just got to get metal on them, and I'll be back when that's done. All right, well, here's the first box completed. It's got the 2 open sections because there's going to be an adjoining box, and we're going to start building off to the side. But let me show you one other thing I did. I was a little nervous about the dirt pushing the sides out and bowing at the bottom, so I put a Simpson strong strap 36 inches wide from side to side, so that should keep it from bowing. And if I need to do it at the top here, I can just put a 2x4 in. So that's it for today. That's it for part 1. I'm going to continue to be building in this section of my planter garden, and I'll be back when I get a few more boxes in. But this is James. Please subscribe. Please press the like button and come back for the finish of this 400 square foot planter garden. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.